Tough test on Monday night, but the Titans still the only undefeated team left in the NFL. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you on CBSSports.com. It's time for Tuesday Judgments with our NFL columnist, Clark Judge. And Clark, after what you saw Tuesday night from the Tennessee Titans, should there be any questions left about just how good they are?
No, and it's not just because of Monday night. This is a team that for 7 games has demonstrated it's better than anyone else. They haven't lost a game, and there's a reason. Their defense is playing very soundly, and the quarterback's not turning the ball over.
That's a different side, though, for Indianapolis. And you have an article on CBSSports.com about Peyton Manning and saying that it's his fault or he's the reason they're 3-4. Explain that. Well,
it's the passing game. I mean, he's certainly the guy who pulls the trigger with the passing game, but their passing game is just off right now. And if you saw the game on Monday night, you'd know that. I mean, he's not getting the ball out to his wide receivers. There's really no separation there. You look at the last couple of games, Reggie Wayne really hasn't been a factor. Neither is Marvin Harrison. He's had to drop the ball underneath to running backs. So Dominic Rhodes had 8 catches last night. Dallas Clark certainly is a factor, but he can't get the ball to the outside guys, and that's really bogging them down. I looked at last night's game, and they should have put more than 7 points up in the first half. They couldn't pull away from these guys, and unfortunately, they're the key mistakes, and that's happening far too often. The touchdowns are down, and the interceptions are up. That's not good for Indianapolis or Peyton Manning. He's got to get back to being himself, which is a guy who's very productive, very accurate, and doesn't turn the ball over.
And they're 3-4, very easily could be 1-6 with losses at Houston that they ended up winning. Same thing with that Minnesota game. But they are 3-4 with a plethora of teams in the AFC. Clark, nobody's really running away with the wild card spots. When you look at those 3-4 teams, we can include San Diego at 3-5. Who do you think still has a great shot, or at least a good shot, to make the playoffs?
Well, believe it or not, Jason, I'm still saying the Chargers can win that division. Now, I'm less inclined to think that now, but I'm still hanging with them for this reason. Look at the second half of their schedule. They've got 5 home games, plus they've got a road game in Kansas City, where there's 6 games they could or maybe should win. The other reason is they're trying to catch Denver, and Denver can't stop anyone right now. So I think you can win that division at 9-7, and God forbid, maybe 8-8, but 9-7 can win that division. And I think the Chargers still can do it because of the schedule and because they're chasing Denver. I don't rule out Indianapolis, because I think at some point they've got to get their act together, and better be now, because they're playing New England this week at home, and I think they've got to get the turnaround right now. They certainly have the talent. They're getting people back. Joseph Adai and Bob Sanders at some point will return to that lineup. They've got to become the team that they were during the stretch drive a couple years ago, and I think that's possible, but it's got to happen now.
What about Cleveland? They had a great win at Jacksonville this weekend. Do you think maybe they've turned the corner?
Well, I don't. I mean, and the reason is because I look at Derek Anderson, and he just is not the quarterback he was a year ago, and I don't trust them. Certainly they're playing better now. I mean, they could have won that game against Washington a couple weeks ago, and that's a big win in Jacksonville, but I just don't trust them. Plus, they're playing in a very tough division where I think only one of those teams comes out because everyone's got such a tough schedule. I think that one team is Pittsburgh.
And, Pittsburgh had a tough game this past weekend with the Giants, who will see Dallas this weekend, and expecting to see Brad Johnson. Clark, would you agree that it'd be a horrible move if it weren't Brad Johnson at quarterback this weekend for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I would. I mean, what's Brooks Bollinger done? And nothing. And Brad Johnson at least has the experience of big games. He played in the Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl. He's been in the playoffs before. He's been in situations like this. Brooks Bollinger hasn't done anything. And to me, if they did that, it would be a panic move, and certainly would communicate that to the rest of the ball club.
Real quickly, we hit on the AFC West when you were talking about San Diego. How about the NFC West? This year, the storylines there have really been more about the coaches, but once we're through with that, you get to the division, and it's still wide open, despite the fact that 3 of the teams only have 2 wins. Can one of those 3 teams still win that division in your mind?
No, I think it's Arizona's division at this point. I mean, Seattle, you'd think that, Seattle's got the roster with the talent. They could do it, but Matt Hasselbeck's not getting better. If he doesn't get better, I think they're in trouble, because that defense really hasn't demonstrated it can stop anybody outside of San Francisco last week. And so without Hasselbeck, I don't see him making the move, and I think St. Louis simply dug itself too big a hole.
And Hasselbeck not expected to play again here in Week 9. Clark Judge, thank you very much. We'll see you on Wednesday for the End Zone.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, folks, and for more from Clark or Pete Prisco, be sure to stay with them on CBSSports.com. For Clark Judge, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.